Your trades don't lose because they're bad trades. Your trades lose because you're desperate for them to work. And I know that sounds harsh, but think about it. How many times have you had a perfectly valid setup right in front of you, but the second you enter, you suddenly get very tense and uncomfortable? And when that happens, you're no longer looking at your chart. You're looking at your P&L. You start begging candles to move in your direction and not to wick you out. Every pullback feels personal, and every new tick feels like a threat. And when it finally stops you out, you don't say, "That's fine, it was part of the plan." Instead, you say, "Why does this always happen to me?" Because here's the thing, it's not the setup that's hurting you, it's your attachment to the outcome. The moment you need a trade to win, not want but need, you lose the ability to execute properly. You chase entries, exit prematurely, overmanage, and you sabotage your entire system. I used to do this every single day because I couldn't emotionally handle being wrong. And all that did was cause more losses, make me even less confident, and sent me further down the spiral. Because look, the market isn't singling you out or conspiring against you specifically. The market doesn't even know you exist. It's just there. It's simply exposing the part of you that still can't accept uncertainty. And until you fix that, no strategy will ever feel safe, no setup will ever feel good enough, and no win will ever feel satisfying. Because you're trading from fear, not structure. So in this video, I'm going to show you the exact psychological shift that fixed my execution issues in a snap and supercharged my PnL so that you can apply it immediately. Before we begin, quick disclaimer, nothing here is financial advice. I'm just showing you what's worked for me. If you use it, do it at your own risk and size properly. The turning point for me happened when I caught myself doing something ridiculous. And I finally decided to be honest with myself. I was in a trade, and as I was staring at the chart, I realized that I wasn't even trading anymore. I was arguing with the market. Every tick against me felt like, no, you're not supposed to do that. And every pullback I thought, I can't believe it's not going my way. I was literally trying to debate price action, as if the market was going to stop, apologize, and turn around. And that's when I realized that I wasn't just losing trades. I was having arguments with reality and losing. I was fighting the truth that the market doesn't care what I want. It doesn't care how good the setup looks. It doesn't care if I feel confident, scared, or overdue for a win. All it does is reflect structure. And all I was doing was refusing to accept it. Until I fixed that, my P&L was going absolutely nowhere. So I made a decision. I stopped trying to control the outcome and instead learned to completely detach from it. And that's when it finally started to curl up. But you can only truly detach from an outcome if you trust it, right? I want to trade profitably and grow long term, not just make a few short-term gains. And that's how you finally get to a point where you have zero emotional involvement with your trades and you're executing exactly as you should be, without any interference. Most traders aren't attached to outcomes because they're emotional. They're attached because they don't have a framework that gives them confidence in the first place. If your process is random, your emotions will be random. If your trades are inconsistent, your confidence will be inconsistent. You can't detach from uncertainty when your system literally is uncertainty. That's why I rebuilt my entire approach around something simple, repeatable, and objective, the LCE model. If you're new to the channel, this is all we trade. I'll link some videos right now that go more in depth on exactly how to trade it. But LCE stands for level, confirmation, and execution. This is the process we follow for every trade that makes it reliable. Think of it like this. Imagine you start with a blank chart. If you were looking at this, what trade would you take? Would you go long, go short, or stay out? Well, you might have your thoughts and opinions, but we know those aren't reliable. If you try guessing your way through every trade, chances are you won't get anywhere. That's why we create strategies in the first place, right? We want something consistent and reliable that we can follow. But the problem is, we create a strategy and then still take trades outside of it, which defeats the purpose of creating a strategy. But the reason we do that is because we don't fully understand or trust our strategy. Now, there's an easy fix to this. When it comes to a blank chart, we feel uncertain looking at it. We don't know where the price will move, or how it will move, or where it'll end up. That's why we never feel comfortable trading anything. So the first step to trading a strategy that we trust is understanding how the price actually moves, and using that to determine price movement with high accuracy. That starts with levels. A level is simply a place on the chart where price has shown its hand before. So it's a place where buyers and sellers stepped in aggressively and where important decisions were made. This is how the market is structured. There are levels where institutions reacted strongly, and price action simply moves from one of these levels to another. Actually, I'll link a video right now that explains exactly how to draw these levels that you can watch later. So when we lay that out, it looks something like this. Now compare this to a blank chart, where you were simply guessing and had no idea where the price would end up. Here instead, we have a map laid out in front of us. We know the potential areas where price could end up. That eliminates a massive portion of our uncertainty. It's the first step to executing cleanly. So now we're taking trades from one level to the other. All we need to do is decide which level we're hitting next. And that's where the confirmation and execution part of LCE comes in. We want our trades to have an edge over time, so we want to win more than we lose, of course. That's where we get the EMA cloud. We use the slope of the EMA cloud on multiple time frames to determine our bias, then we take the level-to-level trade in that direction. That's how we win more than we lose and return more than we risk to get a reliable edge over time. And that's all we care about, right? Focusing on anything else is just gambling in disguise. So when you have a reliable process, you have certainty and you have peace of mind. Now, detaching isn't something you have to fake or force yourself to do, which wouldn't work anyway. Detaching almost comes naturally when you trust your system. You don't need to constantly be there to make sure that your trade is working and hoping the wind moves in your direction. So the first aspect of truly executing without emotion and not stepping on your own feet is being able to trust your own system. Once you have that nailed down, the second part is to trust yourself. You need to have confidence in your own ability to execute, because without this, it doesn't matter how trustworthy or reliable your system is. Your execution will always be the bottleneck. So here's what I do. Whenever I enter a trade, I always make sure it's following the standard LCE protocol. That means we have our target set at the next level and our stop above market structure, which is going to be somewhere halfway in between the two levels. The standard risk reward should be something like a 1.5 to 1 to a 2 to 1 risk reward. When I have that, I know I've done everything correctly. Even if I don't use the cloud and pick direction randomly, I'll still be profitable. If I win half the time and lose half the time, I'll have a 50% win rate. With a 1.5 to 1 risk reward, that's a positive return. So I don't even need to worry about that one trade while I'm in it. Even without using our confirmation tools and establishing the correct bias, it's very unlikely that we blow our accounts from it. That's where you get confidence in your ability to execute. It's not that you have to be perfect, it's that you'll know you'll be fine regardless of the outcome of that one specific trade. And funny enough, that gives you the confidence to actually see that trade work without the interference that would have turned it unprofitable. So what I do now when it comes to executing trades is simple. I'm looking for just 3 outcomes. My trade will either hit my stop loss, my target, or break even. And break even happens when the trade is already 50 to 60% of the way to my target. This is when I'll move my stop near my entry to make sure it's a risk-free trade. We never want to make a solid green trade go red. So there's no reason for me to be at my screen for more than a few seconds after I place my stop and target. I don't need to monitor it or think about it. There's nothing I could do that would make the market move in my direction. It's completely out of my control. And that will ensure my edge stays intact and plays out. I physically can't interfere if I'm not watching. Plus, once I see this play out a few times, I'll get more confident in the whole process and it'll keep getting easier. It's kind of like if you're on a frozen lake and trying to break the ice. It's hardest at first, but once you finally break some of that ice, it only becomes easier and easier to keep breaking it. Once you see your system work without you micromanaging it, the whole thing becomes easier. That's how you finally become consistent. Not by finding the perfect setup, but by removing the emotional chaos that kept you from executing the setups you already had. By the way, this is exactly what I teach traders inside my LCE Accelerator program. We run weekly group calls where we break down trades and keep your process tight. You'll also have a private one-on-one chat with me, so you can get feedback or ask questions anytime. You'll get access to my exact level-to-level chart, the one I use every day to trade this framework, and you'll be part of a private community of LCE traders who trade the same system and keep each other accountable. So if you're interested, click the link down below to apply. And if this video helped you, let me know by dropping a like and subscribing, and I'll drop more videos like this. I'll see you in the next one.